miss anything. Thank you, Sister Siri. All right, let us bow our spirits. Father, thank you so much for another day. Thank you for another week. Thank you so much for your breath in our lungs, that we can continue to push, that we can continue to seek you, that we can continue to overcome every obstacle and every mountain that is before us, oh God. Thank you for increasing our faith as we are on this life journey, oh God. We love you and we honor you, and we thank you that as you guide us and direct us to the goals and the next steps that you have for us, no matter how small we may think they seem. Thank you for allowing us to recognize the impact that they'll have on our lives and those around us. So we pray for your divine direction and your divine word, oh God. Continue to open our eyes to see, our ears to hear, and receive your word. And we thank you for this session. We thank you for all that you've imparted into us. We thank you for uncovering the truth where the deception has lived, and that you will continue to allow us to walk in that. I thank you for every woman that has been a part of this journey. And we honor you for that. And I thank you for the praise reports that are going to come from applying those things that we know we need to our lives, and truly experiencing the abundance and the freedom that you have called us to. And we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, y'all, let's get into it. Y'all are looking good. So, yeah, I'm excited because, like I said, I'm on this journey with you guys. I'm literally about to hit my mother up because where is it? I got this box. I've been cleaning out every room in my house, and I cleaned out my office, and I found this vision board box that I think my mom got for me maybe a year or two ago. And I said, okay, I want to have a real vision board lunch or something. And I was going to encourage you ladies to do the same, to find someone and actually have a vision board gathering. It doesn't have to be a group, you know, and to really start putting the goals that we list here today into action, and to get creative with that, and to have yourself moving forward, to really allow yourself to feel, smell, and breathe those goals. And like I said, those goals can be really small, but don't underestimate the impact. Some of those goals are just a mindset shift before we could even get to the tangible things. And so as we close with the message today, and like I said, I won't be before you too long with the message, because I want us all to share some of the SMART goals that we are thinking of. And I'll go first to give you guys some time, especially if someone is like, child, I ain't even look at these goals, but allow God to speak to you as the message is being given. And yeah, even if you just want to share one goal, or you want to share all your goals, but you know, like the task sheet that I've been sharing with you, we want to share SMART goals, right? The SMART acronym in order to do that. So I spent some time doing that. And I was like, all right, you know, I love it because you can have a goal, but the next thing that you need to have with a goal is a plan. And once you see what that plan is, you need to break that plan down into little steps. And that's how you're able to achieve something new. Okay. So, all right, let's get into it. So we were talking last week. I know Betty couldn't make it today because unfortunately she got hung up at work. So I'm going to be sending this message to her. But she says she is missing you guys and she is with us in spirit. Okay. So as we close for this first session, as we will pick up again, we'll take a break next week, and we'll probably pick up again beginning in some date in September, which I will definitely share with you guys ahead in advance. But we're gonna keep going, y'all. All right. So last week we were talking about that whole action of deception and what that looks like. And mainly it comes with distraction and strategy. The enemy comes to distract you from something God told you, and then he adds a strategy to that. And the strategy is always specific to something that he knows will push that button, that will make you feel something, that will trigger something. Right? And so, exactly. You know, he don't just come light. He don't just come, you know, easy. He comes like the solicitor that sees the sign that says no soliciting. My mother told me to put up a no soliciting sign. What do? Still ring my doorbell. Okay. And they know that's the thing that's going to push my button. All right. That's how the enemy comes and he approaches us. He sees the sign, but he's like, well, I still want to talk to you. I open the door. The first thing I said, so are you soliciting? I try to be nice because, you know, They say you never know when you're entertaining angels or Jesus himself. So I said, all right, let me not open the door and be like, number one, I told you, you see the sign. I said, dang, what if this is an angel? Right? Because I'm so extra. So I opened the door. I was like, are you soliciting? You know, you got to get a little quiet and high. He's like, no, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that we've got going on, this deal. What's the definition here? But see, all the enemy wants to do is get access, right? So sometimes we need to know. And so then after I exchanged with him and I felt bad, you know, I don't have it in me to be rude to people. So he's talking and I'm just like shrinking. I feel like I'm melting into a pancake. And all I could think, and I'm struggling. The dog's trying, I'm struggling. He sees the struggle, but he don't care. The enemy don't care what your season is. He don't care what your bank account is looking like. He don't care where your mental state is. He don't care how much you don't have left. He don't care what you're struggling in. He will pile on whatever he can if you would just open the door. And after I engaged with that young man, and I said to him, I said, this was giving a little, no, this is not soliciting. This is something that everyone's doing in the neighborhood. I was just like, I couldn't convince him. So I said, no, thank you. But just in the future, please heed to the sign. He wanted to say more, and I just slowly closed the door. I went downstairs and lost it. Daniel, I told you, we got no soliciting sign. They still solicit. What should I do? Should I call the cops next time? He said, you should never open the door. I said, well, now that's a whole word, huh? I said, I got so mad that he said, because, you know, nowadays, y'all know we got the ring system. And if you ain't got a ring, you sure has got a peephole. Okay. Because when I'm in hotels, I'm like, I don't think no housekeeping to me, you know, so you can't trust nobody in 2024. So he's like, you saw the ring. He said, not only could you have avoided engaging this person and getting yourself riled up, but you could have spoke to him through the computer and told him, sorry, I'm not home and no soliciting, please. He said you could have nipped that in the butt. You were over there struggling and mad because you opened the door. See, the enemy doesn't care that it says, I'm a Christ follower. I am a child of God. I am more than a conqueror. I am anointed. I have a calling. I have a purpose. He's going to ring your doorbell. I mean, if he's going to go in the garden where Jesus himself is walking around and he's going to engage with Eve, that is a bold approach. And that's what we were talking about last time. Okay? He doesn't care who you are, where you came from. He doesn't care your status. All he cares about those things is how he can use them. He doesn't care that you're there. He just wants to know how he can use them to get you in a place back into this stinking thinking, bring you down, get you low, get you confused. You are not operating in the life of abundance. What is the life of abundance? It's freedom. What is happiness? Our pastor taught us happiness is a choice. What is that? You choose to be happy because you also you make decisions that walk in freedom, the freedom that God, like the verse says, everything is permissible. You can do anything you want to do, but very few of those things are beneficial. So you could go ahead and respond back to that person. Go ahead and open the door. Go ahead and stoop down to that level. Go ahead and get retaliation. Go ahead and go tat for tat or whatever that thing. Go ahead and continue to think on that thought that popped in your head because you started feeling this. Go ahead and dwell on it, because those are the things that take you away from God's freedom. And it really is just the freedom to choose happiness. You cannot choose happiness if you aren't free. Okay. So the moment I open the door to engage, I can't even see happiness because I'm spending so much time engaging with the enemy. That's right. Solicitors are an example of the enemy. No, God bless y'all. God bless y'all. Just don't ring my doorbell if it says no soliciting. But you know what I'm saying? The moment you open the door when God says don't do it, you can hear that still small voice that says, don't go there. Don't say that. Stop thinking that. Maybe that show is filling you with something and you're like, well, it didn't fill me with something in another season, but for some reason this time it's filling with you something, because once you hit a trigger, that's all we need. That's all we need. So this is what we were talking about. He distracts us and he has a strategy. So for today, the verse of the day is Proverbs 23:7. As a man think in his heart, so is he. Whatever we're thinking, so are we. That is who we are. How we think is how we are. That's why some of these goals, I keep saying, can start in the mind. Because again, you cannot choose a goal that pursues happiness if you aren't free to do so. And that freedom begins in your mind. Okay. So we talked about this in the book. She says, your personal life is a walking advertisement. Oh, I noticed that today. I just took my daughter to a dance school and, just a whole new people. And I just wanted to be in my little corner because I believe it or not, in public, I'm not that person. I don't engage. I'm not like, hey, good. I am in my own little corner. And the thing is, I will still do things and get mad, like not mad, but like I wear these shirts now that I'm with child that say things like baby bump or it's a girl because I'm so excited, but obviously that's a conversation starter. And my husband will say, you don't want people to talk to you. Stop. You're going out there with your makeup and your little shirt. You don't think somebody gonna say something to you? I'm like, child. Sometimes, oh, I see it's a girl. And I'm like, oh, but I mean, I don't make that face in public. But all that to say is people are engaging with you constantly. And you are a walking advertisement. You can either represent this bondage or you can represent freedom. And people are whether they're Christian or not, they are trying to figure out what you represent. When I spoke to her, what was her body language? And here's the thing, many times if you show that freedom, oh, they get attached. That conversation gets deeper. Well, yeah, and I just want to tell you about my grandchild too. And I'm just like, whoo, I just wanted to sit here and creep on my child, but it always happens at what you consider an inconvenient time. You ain't feeling it. You're tired. You're going through too much. And here comes somebody. Hi, yeah, I saw you. I just want to say, you just want to say what? What? But that's who God calls us to be. He calls us to be walking advertisements of his freedom, of his love, of his goodness, of his joy, of the fact that people you don't look like what you're going through. But the truth of the matter is, he doesn't want you to be just an advertisement. He wants you to show up. He wants people to show up and see that, oh, this is the real deal. She has stuff going on, but she's learned how to consistently incorporate God's joy. She's applied different resources to her life, like community and fellowship and church and group coaching, whatever it is, to continue to make sure that her mind doesn't go left. Oh, she's for real. I said that when I just went somewhere for the weekend. I said, I'll tell you one thing for sure. This flyer is exactly what I experienced at the zoo. We went to a zoo where the animals were in your windows. And child, that was exactly what we experienced. I looked at that flyer. I said, they so extra. I bet you they don't even come up to your car. We were screaming bloody murder. You know what I'm saying? And I looked back at that flyer and I said, this is exactly what is advertised. And we have too many Christians advertising Christianity. But when you show up in their lives, you're like, oh man, this is different. This is different than what was advertised to me. And God is saying, I want you to be the real deal. And as we're discussing speaking out on God's behalf, it requires us to speak the truth to our own lives and offset the deception. And as women, and we talked about this, many times we just don't stop and consider because the enemy wants to keep you so busy that you're not focusing on how to get back to freedom. He wants to keep it. When he started engaging with Eve, and just like a solicitor, I'm coming for the solicitors on today. They don't really give you, if you're not going in a certain direction, they don't give you a chance. Well, are you a no? I didn't even finish the question, but he knew that I was about to reveal some truth. So no. And that's what the enemy will do. One thought will become another, that becomes another, that becomes another. One trigger will trigger another, that triggers it's like he doesn't want you to have room to breathe, to stop and consider that this ain't it. That's a lie from the depths of hell. That's the only time I can say that word. You know what I'm saying? That's a lie. Right? I see my mom looking at me like, what'd you say? But it is. We don't stop to say, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling uncertain about my future. I'm feeling alone, but that's not who God says I am. So how do I find my way back to freedom? Okay, exactly. Yep. Gotta watch my mama on here. All right. So he doesn't give you time to stop. He wants to keep the thoughts and the conversation going so that you don't consider that this isn't free, that although it's permissible, this is not benefiting me. And if Eve would have just stopped and considered the true consequences of what God said, that could have changed everything. So instead of stopping, we simply live our lives, reacting to our circumstances, following our emotions, eating what we crave, buying the latest gadgets, trying to keep up on fashions, purchasing things we shouldn't be, embracing lifestyles and those around us, comparing ourselves to this person and that person, entering into ineffective relationships, going into debt, remaining frustrated, feeling trapped, getting overwhelmed because we're not stopping, because it does take courage. It does, to stop and consider. And to get back in freedom and to embrace God's truth, it takes courage because you got to face the deception that you've already allowed in. And you've got to give God some time to uproot that. It is many times a daily process. And until we understand that, we'll wind up going a couple of days without that need for God and try to figure out why we feel the way we feel, because we've busied ourselves with everything else except his freedom. And where do we find his freedom? In his presence. All right. So as we go into these goals, we pursue our goal. And when you pursue goals in life, you need to pursue them from a place of freedom, not bondage. That is so key before you go to the next step. Any goal that you have to pursue it from a place of freedom. Because if you pursue it from a place of bondage, you are not going to hear clearly or see clearly through those lenses where you're supposed to be going on that next step. Many times your next steps will be affected by the place that you are in, whether it's free or not. Okay? So how do we get from deception to bondage? We go back to the beginning and we flip it. All right? Number one, instead of listening to the lie, we listen to the truth. Eve listened, and it never seems dangerous sometimes just to listen. But listening in itself can be disobedience if we continue to engage. So we have to carefully monitor the input and allow our minds and everything that's entering into our hearts. When you start feeling like, whoa, shut everything down. Like I said, even some songs, some movies, and some shows, some habits for certain seasons, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not permissible, but for certain seasons, they are not beneficial. And the enemy's actually able to use habits that weren't dangerous before that all of a sudden are adding to a certain place. Okay, so you got to hear me with that one. Constantly stop and consider your season. Because just like harvest, the way you harvest things in the winter, you can't do that in the summer. And the same thing for the summer in the winter. And if you do, those crops will die. So just because they're permissible and they're good habits in one season, a good habit in one season can actually be a habit that's detrimental in another. So find out where you're headed and allow yourself to have a steady diet of what God is inputting in you, whether it's the word, podcast, certain YouTube videos, people that I just like need to flood my mind with God. And it begins with God's word. Don't let the podcast and the shows take that place. Number two, you dwell on the truth. Mull over it over and over again. As women, we overthink, we overthink, we overthink. We need to start overthinking on God's goodness and God's truth. So when we start overthinking that next step, start thinking about who he said and what he said to you and overthink that. Number three, believe in the truth. It's like a garden. It gets planted, fertilized, and now it's beginning to take root. And once you believe, the next step is small. You can actually act in that. And that's number four. Act on the truth. Okay, so now it has not only has it been planted and watered and taken root, now you can produce fruit. Belief produces behavior. And you can't get to that belief without listening and dwelling on the truth. And that belief will produce the behavior. And the action begins, we all heard that action begins in thought. Belief produces behavior. And when you have known to see a seed produce just one tiny fruit, many fruits begin to surface. Sometimes we get frustrated because that first fruit is so small and some people don't acknowledge it. Like my daughter came home with this little biodegradable cup of soil, and it was from this after school program, and they said, yeah, you plant it in your garden. And first of all, that's the last thing they should have said to me, because my mother, nurse, green thumb, cook, child, it took me years to even become a cook. You missed me on the nurse, and I learned that I'll never have a green thumb, but never say never, right? So right, thank you, Bree. My mom was like, yeah, just cut the bushes, child. So they gave me this little cup. I brought it home, put it on the table inside, no windows, no air, no water. That little biodegradable cup sat there for about maybe 3 weeks. I said, I know they lying, talking about bring it home and plant it, it's gonna grow. That's a shame, right? And this is gonna get into my goals and our goals. Because my daughter knew this, but she saw mommy put it on the table, so she gave up. Right? You see the depth in that? She ignored it. I'm sure at one point, I think she said, is that, I said, I didn't even say anything. I just went on with the things that I considered important in life, right? Then finally, I decided to clean that table one day, and I said, I'm gonna throw it out. Now, the only reason I didn't throw it out is because I keep everything that my daughter makes. I mean, they said if you bring home one more thing with a line on the paper and say this was purchased, I had to create a little section. So I keep everything. So I saw it and I said, let me just put it in the motion. I went out there, I dug it. I didn't even show my daughter. I just put it out there. I said, let me see. I didn't even cover the whole cup. I just put it in there. It's just so annoying to me, right? So forgot about the cup. Forgot about the cup. And there's a whole word growing in my front yard. A whole message from God. Because one day I came out maybe another 3 weeks. And over time, I mean, it was hot, it's rained, the wind, so much has happened. I forgot about that thing. She walks around, I'm walking behind her, rushing, minding my business. And she goes, Mommy, look. And I'm like, my plant. I look at that thing, and it was a tiny stem with a little leaf. And I was like, I was in awe. I called my Daniel, and I told him to come. Oh, he's probably gonna come. My bad. I told him to come. I said, "Look! Oh my gosh! It's a leaf with a little. Oh my! We all of us are jumping up and down." My mother come. Mommy, look! I put a bio. I was more excited than Persia. I put a biodegrader. This is Persia's plant. I mean, she planted the seed in there while she was at after school. So, but then after days go by, I'm walking by it again. Oh yeah, that's so cute. That was wonderful. It just grew this little plant. I was ready to uproot it because I said, well, that was fun. Another week goes by, it doubled. Another 2 weeks go by, it doubled again. Child, yesterday I said, we're going to be climbing up a tree. It's still growing. And all that to say, I hope you hear the message in this. From the moment I received this biodegradable cup, I did not care. It was wet. It was ugly looking. It just I didn't understand it, right? And when you don't understand something, abuse is inevitable. And so I put it in a place where it could not produce. So of course I had even less care for it. I put it somewhere. I didn't water it. Come on now. I didn't put the sun there. I just put it out there and God did the rest. And then even after I saw the tiny fruit from it, after a while, I was unimpressed again until I saw it double out of nowhere. And that is what God does with us. He says, you have a biodegradable cup that you've had on a table for some time because it just didn't look like anything. Maybe it was whatever. Maybe you don't understand it. Maybe you received a word or a dream from me and you're just like, I don't know about that. But if you would just put it in and listen and begin to dwell and begin to believe and see that it will produce something, and even maybe you have the cup and it produced this much. And over time, you get used to it. Oh, okay, that was it. But he says, keep dwelling, keep watering it, and see what happens. So I just had to share that random story, but all that to say is we have the ability to produce major fruits. Beliefs produce behavior. And that's how we get into our SMART goals. So let's get into it, ladies. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Hold on. With my SMART goals. I wasn't extremely detailed, but I'll be transparent. And let me go to okay, our SMART goals. The first question, and if you're going to share, let me help you with this. We're making a SMART goal. What's your specific goal? What do you want to achieve? Just get specific and choose one. Number 2, M, make it measurable. How do you know that you have achieved your goal? That you're on the right path. So show what is the result of that goal that will show you you're on the right path to achieving that goal. It doesn't have to be the result, the final result, but what is something that would be produced? What is the tiny fruit that would be produced from your specific goal that would show you you are on the right path? A, make it attainable. What's the next step? The first small step in accomplishing the goal. Sometimes it could be prayer. Sometimes the goal is to hear God clearly. Let me tell you, don't underestimate some of the conversations just being a goal. I just got a message from someone the other day that says we need to stop praying casually and begin to pray fervently, because those are the prayers that unlock the things in heaven that we are waiting for on earth. So maybe my goal needs to be, okay, I need to step my prayer game up. And then R, how is this relevant? Why is this goal important to you, and why now? You need to know the importance of your why. Why is this important to you, and why now? Why not 5 years ago? T, make it timely. When would you like to see the final result? What's a reasonable timeline to see a big movement, right? And I shared with you guys my weight loss journey and losing 66 pounds. It all started with 2 pounds. And you jump for joy. And then those 2 pounds turn into 4, and then they turn into 6. So you always start with, and then if you could have asked me, why now? Because I've been trying forever. It's just that I finally created SMART goals that work for me. So I don't care if this is a goal that you've tried before. Never give up, because it's the one time that you finally commit to something the way that God has asked you to do it, and he provides the resources that you need, that it changes everything. And you've heard this from so many people that have been successful in life, that they have failed so many times before they succeeded. So my first SMART goal, my specific SMART goal, is very internal. My season is so different in life. I've experienced a very different season. Being a full-time entrepreneur is wonderful, but it also can just, there are things that I did not plan in this season, wonderful things and scary things, and, not having a job, and, it's just a different place. And so I want my days to be filled with more peace, purpose, productivity, and positive energy. And when I say that with, there's a lot of anxiety that can come. There's a lot of things that can weigh down. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so I learned that purpose, productivity, and I don't mean any productivity. I've learned that purpose, productivity allows me to feel the positive energy. And when I say positive energy, I just mean his presence. You know what I'm saying? There's an energy that you can have when you are just down in the dumps, and everything just feels negative. So how can I make that measurable? Faith steps I put. Look at my little pictures. My faith steps. Fellowship. I know that as much as I like to kind of be a recluse, and especially when I'm not really feeling like my best self, I tend to become a little bit more recluse. But I've learned that even something as simple as a phone call, fellowship, community, and I call that faith steps, a new schedule, allowing myself to do different things, hobbies, volunteering. So this week, and this is a part of my goal, is I am auditioning for the praise and worship team here at my church. And I could have done that years ago. Why now? Because one of the things I do miss is community. I miss a Christian community. I miss what I had at CCC. I miss the fellowship. I miss people. I miss a level of accountability where I have to show up somewhere and it's not all about a job. It's not all about me. It's not about me. It's about me getting into this place of worship and community that I truly enjoyed years ago when I used to be on the praise and worship team at CCC. And God is like, what made you think you can't go back that way? What made you think you can't, that I don't have that here for you? See, sometimes in different seasons, whether it's a different location or different place in life or different people, he's like, what makes you think I don't have joy for you at the other side? What makes you think I don't have provision for you on the other side? This ain't just it. I'm God. So I know that measurably, I will be able to see a new mindset for myself that would allow me to embrace that freedom and experience God's presence because I don't have the time to be idle. Because what does the word say about idle? And it doesn't even mean, even if you're doing something, sometimes you can be idle because your mind is constantly being filled with just negativity. And you need to engage your mind with things that are not going to keep you in an idle, negative pattern of thoughts or anxious, right? So that there's me walking the road. Something I will never, ever do. Never say never. Seek the next one, SMA, attainable, things that are attainable for me. Seek help. This is something that women don't do. We talk about that story where the man is in the water and he's like, Lord, rescue me. And then a little pub boat comes by and they're like, do you need help? And he's like, no, the Lord's going to rescue me. Remember that story? And a fisherman comes by. Do you need help? No, the Lord's going to rescue me. Then someone else comes by, a helicopter. You good down there? No, the Lord's. And then all of a sudden he drowns. He gets to heaven. He said, Lord, you said you were going to rescue me. He said, I sent you a pub boat, a fisherman, and a helicopter. And so I'm asking God to show me the help that I've been ignoring. Building community has been right in front of my face this whole time. Opportunities to volunteer in my church and surround myself again with Christian people and not focus on what I don't have, because that has been giving me a little anxiety. I've been in a place lately of just missing what I had and not looking at what I can have again and trusting God that it can even be bigger and greater, right? So seeking help and doing something attainable, that's my next step. And I already pursued it and I'm already uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. Like soon as they hit me back, like, oh, okay, you can show up on Thursday. My mind started saying, oh, you can't go on Thursday because of gymnastics and it's not going to work. And maybe you don't have to go every Thursday. You see that? Just talking myself out of it. And just, what is that? That's that solicitor. Hey, you don't have to go all the time. Great that you try. It's good that you tried. Good job. But all right, let's get back to what we do. Let's sit here. And then R, relatable. Why do I want to do this? Because I am a mom, I'm a wife, and being a role model to my girls is everything to me. To show, my mom was my role model. Okay. And so I'm like, I want my girls to see a woman not with money and cars and a house. I want them to see a woman with freedom and peace and confidence and community and the ability to take a faith step and the ability to create an atmosphere for them that is filled with God's presence. Because we can have all I can have all this, because I'm always big about, I want to give this to her and I want to give this to her, the material things. But if you seek God first, he will provide all of that. But creating an atmosphere for your children is the number one thing. That is the number one that is the biggest type of wealth you can create for your children. You hear about people all the time that grow up to be superstars, and they come from some hard times, but all they see is the wealth of the love and the peace and the strength that their parents poured into them. They don't think about what they didn't have. And that's what I think about when I think about this. I said, girl, you got to get control of your mind. And of course, the enemy's just trying to do a lot. You're trying to pursue something new, like a business or whatever. He's just constantly he's trying to count me out every time, every day. He's trying to say, girl, this ain't for you. Girl, you ain't got it. Girl, you can't do this by yourself. And then I put timely. I love this little thing right here. It's called the knot. Isn't this cool? It is actually a wedding checklist, 3-month checklist. It shows 3 months, 2 months out, 1 month out, 2 weeks out, the week before, the day before. I am going to use this or something like this to show what I can do within 3 months to continue to build up the freedom and the abundance and the peace of mind that God has for me, and how to gain community, how to engage in fellowship, how to put myself out there, how to continue to pursue, my business and my goal confidently and seeking God. How can I do this in a day? What can I do in the next week? What can I do in 2 weeks? What can 1 month look like? What can 2 months look like? And then where I would like to be in 3 months. And I probably won't have all these bullet points. Don't overwhelm yourself. I do that. I will have 20 bullet points of things I would like to see. Don't do that. I've learned that already. Have about 3, okay? And break those 3 things down into more things. Okay, and I can send that to you. That's it for me. That's my little vision. That's my little virtual vision board for you guys. Very short, very sweet, and just very real. Just it more internal things, that a little internal things that require some tangible things that I need to start. I need community. I realize that I need community, right? So, and community don't mean you need 17. Sometimes you just got to get out and volunteer. You be surprised. I'll never forget, right before I got pregnant with my first child, I started volunteering at Sunday school. I felt like everything after that just came. Everything I was praying for in my mind had nothing to do with me volunteering at Sunday school. But because I got into community, I met these people and I was always in the right place at the right time. All of a sudden, they wanted to do this prayer over the womb because I was having some fertility issues. And I just happened to be there volunteering with the Sunday school. And this lady who was 8 months pregnant just came up to me, didn't know that I was trying to get pregnant, told me to buy this book. So I'm just saying, there's things that we are praying for, and you'd be surprised that when God calls you to do something else, he will add all those other things unto you. Sunday school had nothing to do with me, in my mind, getting pregnant, I wound up doubling my salary, everything I was praying for. And I believe it was because I stepped into a place of community. God wanted me to keep my mind on him. And for me, in order for me to do that, he needed me to be in Christian community. And so I realized I got so far from that. I got so comfortable because my job was CCC and, going back with New York, and New York was my community. And now it's not that I don't have them, but he's like, I need you to hunker down a little bit more because they're not there as frequently. And you're losing that idea of community and the importance and how you can find God in things that don't seem like it got anything to do with the things you're praying for, but you seek God and all those things will be added unto you. So anyways, that's my story. Bree, mommy, let me know if you guys would like to share any of those SMART goals, because even though we're not meeting next week until I give the new session, if you guys want to come back and do another session, that session is going to be focused all about movement with the goals. But I will be checking in on your goals and praying for you and your goals. So anybody want to share? Oh, you let me stop recording. Your goals will not be out there in the world.